So today I'm going to talk to you about existing lighting in a documentary situation. And what I mean by that is that if you're working on a narrative program, you're working on a TV show, a movie, if you're working on a commercial, most every scene that you shoot is going to have lighting that's taken care of, right? Every scene that you do, if you're outside, you're going to have help with that. If you're shooting inside, you're going to have help with that. The difference in documentary and even corporate is that for the most part, the only lighting that you're really going to be doing is for the interviews, and then for the B-roll and any footage around that is going to be using existing lighting, so verite style. And what I want to do is just kind of cover that because that is a huge difference. And that's also something that can be really cool and interesting, but it can also be a real burden and a real pain in the butt. So I've got two situations of things that I've shot in the past, and hopefully showing you those will kind of give you some ideas on how you might want to light something down the road. So again, this is using existing lighting. We didn't add anything to any of this. It's just the situation that was given to us and how we put that together. Okay, so we've got our first, we've got our kind of two setups right here. I've got two that are kind of video clips, and I've got two that are just stills. So the first one on the left, I'll give you a quick rundown on what the project was, what we did, and how we shot it, and then we'll kind of go from there. All right, so let me zoom into that. Let me go, there we go. Look at that. Man, I did it right the first time. So this was shot on the A7S3, S-Log3 Cine. Shot it handheld actually, and used a 16-35 and 24-105 Sony lenses. Those are G Masters if you really care that much. That was it. That was what we used for the cameras. The TV show was called Inside the Base, and we filmed a number of episodes, 8 or 9 episodes. I was the director of photography on 2 or 3, I can't remember, and I was also second camera on some of the other ones. So anyway, we shot on these quite a bit. We shot with the A7S3 because at the time the primary camera was supposed to be the FX6, but the DP on this one had an FX6. I was second camera, and we couldn't find another FX6 to save our lives. They were just really hard to find. This was shot in 2022. If you want to watch the show or any of the episodes, you can go to Peacock, the streaming channel, and you can find it on there. Again, it's called Inside the Base. I'll put a link up so you can see what it is. And it was a kind of interesting show. I won't go any further into that except that since it says it's inside the base, that's where we were. This is a military base. This is Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And we were out at 5 in the morning, and these people were getting ready to do some early morning running and training and things like that. Happened to be kind of a rainy morning, and obviously it's really dark outside at 5 a.m. So how do you shoot this? So I'm going to just quickly, I will quickly play it back for you. I will mute the audio so you're not going to hear it. Not that there's anything on there. And I will also, let's move it over. So you can kind of just see in the shot, you see that there's some rain. You see this guy here. They're getting call outs from the drill sergeants, and then they answer, yes, drill sergeant, that kind of thing. And then there's this whole row of guys, and our star was going to be somewhere in this grouping. So I'm going to kind of, I'm going to go back through. Let's see. I'll just go right to here and show this. And so we can kind of talk about this shot, and then I'll show you there's a wider shot as well that you'll get an idea of. So in this shot, what we try to do is we try to find a way, how do you shoot this thing at 5 in the morning when it's basically pitch dark out, except for, a little bit of ambient light out there, but really not much. You can see that right there. So you can see obviously there's a lamp post here, and we had light coming down from the lamp post. And it served kind of it served us in two ways. First of all, obviously you got this nice rim light on this guy, and then everybody else, their heads are all lit right here. And then the other thing is that it was raining, as you can see the raindrops coming down, and it's hard to light rain unless you're backlighting it or lighting it from above or from behind or from the side. If you were to shoot this straight on, you probably really wouldn't see the rain, and I really like that effect of the rain. I wanted to have some of that drama. The nice thing about this kind of two-person shoot or two-camera shoot was that I kind of had some free reign on the shots I was trying to get, as long as we were, both kind of covering the same thing. I was covering more of the B-roll of the other soldiers, while the A camera was following our star and was close with her on this one. So anyway, any other place that we would have shot this, it might not have worked out at all. It would have been really, really dark. And if I show you the other shot right here, let's go down, move this. There we go. Look at that. Lovely. I will play this back as well. You can kind of see how that goes. You see a lot more of the rain. It was raining pretty hard off and on. I just use a trash bag to cover the camera if you're trying to figure out what I use to protect it. And for myself, hopefully I had a raincoat, but you start learning in this world, it's much more important to take care of the equipment than yourself, which probably isn't that smart, but that's just kind of the way that it is. And anyway, you can really see that rain coming down really hard there. But if I go back to like right here, this is a good example again of what we did. So again, the street light, very prominent, very easy to see. It's lighting the tree in the back, and then it's also the lights coming down, hitting all these guys right there. Coming down, nice hard shadows there. They're kind of backlit, side lit, and it makes for a nice dramatic shot. Even the drill sergeant over here, she's got the light coming onto her face right there. And that was the situation that we had. I have no idea how we would have tried to film this if we weren't able to film it here. You don't have control all the time on where you're shooting, especially in a documentary. This is the Army on top of it, so it's not like they're going to bend over for us and say, yeah, you guys can film it all right over here. We didn't have that kind of fortune. This was where they were going to film it. Rain or shine, this is what they're going to do. They don't care about that kind of stuff in the military. And that's fine. That's how we want to work it. We want it to be as authentic as possible, and that's what we did. So anyway, again, just wanted you to kind of be aware of that and thinking about, how do you take advantage of it. We're fortunate to have this light. That light was coming down. If we, for example, didn't have that light, where or what would we have done to film it? We might have asked if we could have gotten some kind of lighting, maybe from vehicles. Lighting using headlights does work. The same thing, you don't necessarily want the lights coming from this side. You want them coming from the side or from behind to add a little bit more drama to the situation. Shooting with the headlight straight on, unless that's for the effect that you're trying to get, it's really not a very attractive look. So anyway, so let's move on to the other one, which was a video I did at a industrial facility. And so I'm going to first go over real quick the camera. The camera that we use is the Blackmagic Ursa Mini Pro 4.6K. It is not a mini camera, as anyone that's used the camera knows, about the size of an FS7 or FX9. But it's a great camera. I really like it. Great color science. Really, really nice imagery that comes out of it. The fact that it can shoot RAW. I have no affiliation to Blackmagic. I'm just talking about how much I like the camera. I like it so much I actually sold it to somebody else. Still have pocket cameras. ProRes 422 and use the Zeiss Milvus 50 1.4 and Zeiss Milvus 35 1.4. Milvus lenses are stills lenses, technically. You can cinemod them. I use EF lenses on this, so it actually still uses the internal sensor for, to open up the iris on those lenses. But I do have cinemoded follow focus rings that Zeiss actually makes, which costs an arm and a leg, because anything Zeiss makes, I guess in the grand scheme of things isn't expensive, but it's still expensive. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, great lenses, very clean, very nice lenses. Won't go any further into that. There's no real further story as far as what we were shooting here, except that, like I said, it was an industrial situation. And, we had a very dark space to film in here as well. And that was because this gentleman is using this light over here. And this light right there has got this weird kind of pinkish purple kind of color that comes out. And in his other hand, he's got what looks like kind of like a garden hose, and he's running water through. But there was some kind of, the color of the light has some kind of effect and reads for the person, what's coming through. I couldn't tell you to save my life exactly what this guy was doing or even the equipment that he was working on, except that they wanted me to shoot this and this is what I was shooting. So here we are. What was cool about this was I really liked that, we have this nice backlighting right here. This is all just coming from the existing space. We added no lights of our own. There's this back wall that's got some kind of insulated padding on the wall. You've got his purple pink light. There's a green light that's popping up over here. You got another little bit of light right here, and it's shining on his neck. And then you've got some reflection coming into his glasses right there, which I just covered up with my marker. Hooray, hooray. Let me see if I can move this over. And then maybe bring it up just a hair as well. Let's see. Okay, there you go. And then I want to show you real quick while I'm at it. This is another angle that we did. So I did switch lenses on this one. A lot of times if I'm in a hurry, I like to use zoom lenses in these kind of situations because you can move a lot faster. We had enough time for this that I could at least swap out lenses, and I really like using primes when I can. I don't always have that luxury. Again, you're noticing that I say that a lot, that I don't have a lot of luxury when I'm filming, and that's just the way it is. Small crews, situations that I've never seen before. I had never seen this before. I don't get to scout a lot of the locations I go to. So a lot of that kind of stuff, you just start to really learn, how to deal with the situation that you're thrust into. And again, you don't have the luxury of time. You don't have the luxury of a big crew, and you just got to work with what you've got. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second too. So again, what we got here that's kind of cool is we got this this cool pink, purple, whatever kind of light shining over on here. So you got that color. Then you have this backlight, which is hitting him here, hits his ear and his head. It's also touching on this a little bit to give some light. And there's a little bit of ambient light that's over here in the background. And what that does is, of course, it gives us the silhouette and the shape of this gentleman's face. And that's the thing. You don't always have to make it look like an interview setup, especially when someone's working. You want their natural environment. Obviously, you want to expose it enough so that you can see something. You've got some detail. You can see his mouth. You can see his nose. You can even see his eyes a little bit. I don't know how much the YouTube compression is going to do that to you. See his eyebrows. Look, I just made him eyebrows. Isn't he cute? I've got yellow right here on his kind of coveralls. He's got a yellow glove on. He's got a watch. You can see all that stuff. So you can still see detail, just not a whole lot of detail. But, it's still always important for me to be able to see the person. If they're completely silhouetted, it just wouldn't make any sense unless, the only purpose that you want to see this is for this light, which is really cool. Now you see this arch right here as well. That's part of the equipment. And if I go back, because I just want to kind of just show you what the close-up looked like. If I go back up here to this shot, this kind of informed my decision on how I wanted to frame it. Because this is another important thing. Aside from finding the light is also finding your framing. You want something to look nice and pleasing to the eye. So as you can see, everything kind of converges to the center right here. You've got him looking that way. You've got these details that go this way. You can kind of see there's a nice composition coming in. You've got this piece of the equipment that's here in the foreground. You have this circular piece. Wow, that's a really good circle. You've got the circular piece that goes around that frames them again. And then, you've got him just on one of the, well, if you divide it up in thirds, there's 1/3, the middle third, and then the left third. So you've got everything kind of divided up. And that's what I'm looking for. The light is coming in at an angle. Everything's kind of coming in to make your eye go to this, and hopefully you're looking at him while he's doing his work. Again, you've got that light. I really like drawing circles. It's a lot of fun. Things that I don't like is this right here. I am really not a big fan of this piece of the the equation. You can't always do anything about it. And that's, again, we're talking about luxury. You don't always have the luxury of getting everything in or out of the shot that you want. In post, I might do something like I might remove this digitally somehow. You can do all that kind of stuff now. You can mask it out. You never know. Then again, it might actually play an important part of the scene. I was told I just need to make sure that I got this guy working, and that's what I did. As far as the rest of it, I tried to find the best shots that I could in the space that I had. I wanted a lot of depth, which I got right here, but I didn't have, the ability to get this necessarily out of the shot, except for the close up where you don't see it. So it could be something like you establish the situation. You establish the situation with the wide shot like this, and then you go in for the close up right here, and then you've taken care of both of those situations, and you're still telling your story. The importance always with all this kind of stuff is your story, right? You're trying to make sure that the audience understands what that story is and what's going on. And that's what I want to, really hit home as well, is like as cool as shots can be, and we all want to do this and get our fun and cool interesting shots. The other side of it is that you're trying to tell the story, and what is it that you can do to tell that. The other thing I want you to just take a notice of is, again, talking about framing and composition, is that you notice that each one of these shots is a composed shot that tells a story, but also, it does look nice from a distance. You've got this nice setup right here. You got this guy right here, this one, and the close-up as well. Those are all, again, something that it's pleasing. Hopefully it's not distracting. You don't want to pull your work away from the action that's happening. Whether you're working with an actor or someone in a documentary, the important thing is the subject of the story and telling that story. So again, kind of the key points to remember is you want to make sure that you try and find a way to use the existing lighting that's there, that's in the situation. How do you use that light to help you tell the story? And also, don't forget about your framing, your composition. You want to use that as well. And in the end, don't forget, the important thing is the subject and what is the story that you're trying to convey, and what's the message. You have that kind of control no matter what the situation is, whether it's documentary, narrative, commercial, whatever.